Most fun I ever had in a court.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. Obviously, we are not in the CRPA studio. We are in the media room at SHOT Show. You'll probably be seeing a couple videos come out. We're trying to grab some great interviews with a lot of people throughout the United States that are coming here. If you didn't know about SHOT Show, it's one of the largest trade shows for firearms in the world. So we feel very fortunate to be here, and we feel very fortunate for our guest today, Gary Brennan. He is a named plaintiff in a couple of CRPA lawsuits. Mainly one that we've seen recently is the South Bay Rod and Gun Club versus Bonta, which is the fee shifting provisions on 1327. He is also a CRPA board member. He is also the president of the San Diego County Wildlife Federation. He's been teaching hunter's education for 25 years. Gary, I know it was long-winded, but thank you very much for being here.
It's good to be here. It's good to be sitting down after 14,000 steps out in the show earlier today. So
yeah, I hear you. It's definitely a lot of walking. But while I had you, I kind of wanted to talk about the lawsuit. Obviously, in South Bay Rod and Gun Club v. Bonta, we just saw a huge victory come out of that.
Yeah, it was great.
That was the lawsuit that we filed on the fee shifting provisions, which is basically it's the key to unlocking all of our other lawsuits, because we had some plaintiffs that were reticent moving forward with their lawsuits, not knowing if we were going to have to pay for attorney's fees for the state. I just want to know, how'd you get into it? How is it that you answered the call, and what was it like going through the court dates and everything else?
Well, there really wasn't a lot of court dates, but I got involved because we need to. And if we don't stand up as gun owners in the state, we see it being chipped away every single time we read a news article or listen to what's coming out with bills and stuff in the legislature. And as gun owners, if we can't be the silent majority or minority, we got to be a very vocal group. And so I got involved with a couple of the cases. I'm second on Rhodes versus Becerra. And but this one, it was just another opportunity. South Bay Rod and Gun Club is one of my federation organizations. And they told me that they were getting involved. I said, oh, so do I. So a couple phone calls and I was in. And then just waited till things happened. And it really happened quick compared to a lot of other legislation out there, because it was there. And I mean, luckily we went through in front of Judge Benitez again down in San Diego, and that's where we live. So I mean, it was easy to get down there. I did take a day off. One of the 2 days for the month I was actually working, but I still took it off because I wanted to be in the courtroom with Judge Benitez. And
well, heck yeah. And we went down and we shot a video when Judge Benitez was ruling on Rhodey v. Becerra, as well as Duncan v. Becerra, as well as the assault weapons ban, Miller. And there was there was no dice in his room at all. When the Attorney General's lawyers were asking for more time, it was, no, I'm sorry. You guys may have been involved with this lawsuit for a couple of weeks, but we've all been doing this for a couple years. I'm not giving you more time. Did you experience something similar? Because this was the lawsuit where Attorney General Bonta actually kind of bowed out of it, right?
Sure.
He came forward and he said, hey, I can't prosecute this. I don't have any grounds to do it. Yet Gavin Newsom came in anyway and brought in his own team of lawyers to try and handle it when his own Attorney General already told him that he couldn't. So what was that like with Judge Benitez?
Well, I mean, it was fun. Most fun I ever had in a court. And I was a peace officer for 10 years, so with state parks. And so I've been in court a few times, but we sat in the back, and it was just from the get-go when Newsom's lawyer stood up in front of the judge. The judge said, just a minute before we get started, I want to ask you one question. I said, if you don't prevail in today's case, are you willing to take your wallet out right now and pay the 6 other lawyers that are sitting on the other side of the aisle? And it was like crickets.
Yeah.
He actually asked that lawyer 10 different times this the same question in different varieties. And I'm in the back going, this is great. And of course, South Bay President John Sivers was right next to me. And, we're looking at each other and just snickering because I don't want to be disrespectful in the courtroom, but it was great. And the best part is every single once the state got finished, and then our guys started getting up, our lawyers, and there was the Miller 2 and then us, and so there was 6 altogether. Every single one of them went on record right there as the judge. Just want to make sure that I go on record saying that if this was the prevailing case and we lose, I would not be here. I would not be here representing these groups because I couldn't afford to personally pay lawyers' fees.
Well, and that was the whole issue, right? So, it's great to see
plaintiffs too, because it was the plaintiffs and the lawyers who were going to be responsible, right?
Right, which is why that lawsuit. It was so great that we were able to do it, and like you said, do it in a timely fashion, get the decision that we needed, because it does kind of unlock all of the other lawsuits. And yes, it's definitely good to have a Pro 2A judge like Judge Benitez ruling on these cases. And I think it's important too. Anybody can be a plaintiff in a lawsuit.
Right.
So we see a small handful of individuals like yourself stepping up to be plaintiffs in these lawsuits to further reclaim our Second Amendment rights. So, thank you very much for doing that. But I think it's important for everybody to know, anybody can become a plaintiff.
Sure.
So, you can contact CRPA, you can contact Michelle and Associates. So there is always a path to advocating that way. But as far as advocating is concerned, I was curious to pick your brain on something else. So you're the president of the Wildlife Federation down there in San Diego County.
Yes.
What is it that you advocate for with the Wildlife Federation?
Well, the Wildlife Federation was formed back in the 50s, and basically the sporting groups decided that instead of having a variety of different sporting groups talking to their legislature with 30 people here, 40 people here, 60 people here, let's get together and come in there with 20,000 voices. And we're very good at what we do. We have a good reputation. I sit on the Hunting Conservation Coalition with Rick Travis, but we have our own seat at the table there. So we advocate for sportsmen and women in San Diego County, and we've done some good stuff. We've kept there's a very limited duck hunting in the county, but the city was going to shut down the lakes, and I have a special envoy, and he worked it out with the city, and they're having a great season down there right now, which is ending at the end of the month here.
So basically what you're saying is you've built a coalition in San Diego County in this Wildlife Federation, and you're advocating with the legislature, you're advocating with the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Right. The Fish and Wildlife Advisory Commission for the county. We have about 3 people on the Fish and Wildlife Advisory Commission, so we have an ear out there too. But we also talk with the County Board of Supervisors. We've been to Fish and Game Committee meetings when it impacts us down here, and if we can make the meetings, and that's kind of tough getting around the state because we are a nonprofit and we don't really have an income, so me traveling makes it a little bit difficult. But
right.
But we try to get wherever we can. If not, we just, if nothing else, I sent out after the election. I sent out a letter to every assembly member, every senator in county. And I said, we want to work with you. We want to be your experts in the field, because we are the experts in the field.
Right.
Especially, we have 2 dog groups. We have 3 different outdoor ranges. A whole bunch of the smaller organizations that are chapter organizations. I represent the Safari Club chapter in San Diego. So
I think that's really important, just as far as unity is concerned.
Sure.
In a now a post-Bruin era, where we've kind of fought the beginning, now we're fighting the middle, and we're looking toward an end to reclaiming our Second Amendment rights in California. Unity is going to be a big goal to to grasp, and it's going to be difficult because sometimes it's like herding cats, right? But
Right.
it's going to be necessary. And it sounds like that's really happened with the San Diego Wildlife Federation. It's definitely happening with the Hunting and Conservation Coalition.
That's been an uphill battle too.
I know.
Just one dog club doesn't have the same dog as the other dog club, so they don't get involved with the same issues. And the issue is hunting and use of those dogs in hunting. And so everybody ought to be on everybody. If they talk about fishing and they want to closure here, everybody should be involved about that. But I mean, granted, we are a shooting and hunting organization, being a CRPA, and I'm on the hunting committee on CRPA too. But it's just one of those things where you got to be involved, and you got to come. We as a or as a group of people in the state have to come together.
Well, and just like, this type of dog versus this type of dog, a message that we've been trying to spread is it's really the Second Amendment as a whole, right?
Sure.
So, yeah. I mean, you could be into sport shooting and another person can be into recreational shooting. You might think a piece of legislation doesn't necessarily affect you, but any chip at the Second Amendment is really a chip on all of us. And if you think that they're going to stop with that, they're not.
No.
If we've seen any evidence, it's evidence of that. They're not going to stop. So it's great to see advocacy there. And finally, I was really hoping to pick your brain. So you're pretty well traveled.
Don't pick it too much more.
Okay,
man.
fair.
There's not a lot to work with. No, just kidding.
Well, you're pretty well traveled. You've hunted in a lot of different states. You've taught outside California. I was really curious just to get your perspective. What is the culture like? What is the mentality like outside of California when it comes to hunting and conservation, Second Amendment at large, versus I guess I could say the struggle that we have here in California?
Well, I mean, going to all the states that I've been through, just going into gun stores and just like, wow, I can buy these? Nope, you're from California, you can't buy those. And it's like, well, all I got to do is have an address local. But, so I taught school teachers in Wyoming for the Safari Club in 2019. We brought in teachers from all over the United States and taught them about North American model wildlife conservation. And I was actually one of the firearms instructors for their curriculum. And we had teachers that didn't want. I had two teachers from Newtown, Connecticut, and they did not want to touch guns. And I said, well, as an adult, we're not going to make you do that. But I says, as an adult, you ought to be able to form your own opinion and not necessarily what you've heard. And when they left, both of them were going to go back and buy shotguns and get into clays because they just had a fantastic time. And we did it in a very safe environment. So I encourage anybody to try to get somebody to the range. Spread, if we pull them into the fold, and I don't care, reach across the lines, everybody should have a chance to make their own opinions about the Second Amendment and gun ownership or not to own guns, but as a hunter education instructor, I've taken hunter education in 5 different states, including Hawaii. And you know what? It's pretty much universal. Each state has a curriculum that is basically designed by International Hunter Education Association. And then they get together, and then the states bring in their things that they do more of, like trapping for, say, up in Wisconsin, where out here trapping in California is pretty much done with. It's still there, but it's usually done by USDA Wildlife Services. So did that too.
Well, what about the culture? What's the culture that you get outside the state of California?
It's a lot more relaxed when it comes to hunting and fishing. It's more, California has a great opportunity as well, and I know people that are bringing their kids up. They're out there in the blinds with their kids, and the kids are out there in the blinds with them, and they're just trying to promote the sport. Actually, I don't even like using hunting and sport in the same sentence because it's more of a heritage, and it's something that I was brought up in with my family. I tried to bring up my daughter. She shoots, and she's a pretty good shot, especially with a shotgun. But my wife shoots, but it's just wherever you go, it's going to be, everybody wants to hunt and fish if they get a chance. You know, I
Right.
mean, my wife's family is from Vermont. I think everybody's born with a fishing rod or a shotgun in their hand or a rifle. A lot of cesarean sections. Can I say that? But I mean, that's the life, you know. But also, you know, I started teaching hunter education because my 14-year-old nephew was shot and killed by his best friend with a .22. And it was inside the house. It was after they'd been out there. So gun safety has always been on top of my list. One of the reasons I started 25 years ago teaching hunter ed.
Wow.
If I can stop it from happening once, my job is done. So.
Well, hey, I appreciate you letting me pick your brain as much as I did. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Yeah, no worries. Glad to be here. Have a good day. So.
And we're going to be bringing you more videos from SHOT Show, so please be on the lookout and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. We're really trying to beat the algorithms, and we're trying to get this information out to as many people as possible. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
If you're not a member, become a member of the CRPA.